Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New subscribers only. Renew for 12 months to lock in savings. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hello and welcome to this very special bonus episode of Real Life Ghost Stories. In today's episode I am joined by the wonderful Joe and Elliot from the YouTube channel Ghost Theory. Ghost Theory is a YouTube channel that specialises in paranormal investigations, and Joe and Elliot tend to investigate little known abandoned buildings and places all around the UK. They are the most lovely, genuine, funny, down-to-earth guys. So if you want to watch paranormal investigations without all of the unnecessary dramatics, then definitely go and check out Ghost Theory on YouTube. As always, the link to the YouTube channel is in the description of this video, but you can just search Ghost Theory on YouTube and you will find them. Thank you so much to Joe and Elliot for coming on and taking the time to have a chat with me. They were just a dream to have on. They were brilliant and we had so much fun and laughed so much. Also, the mic quality might be a little bit different, as it always is in these bonus episodes. It's perfectly listenable, but just if you're listening and you think, oh, that sounds different than normal, that is why, because it was recorded remotely. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please go and subscribe to them on YouTube and let's get into it. Lovely listeners, I'm joined today in the virtual studio by the wonderful Ghost Theory. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello. It's good to finally see you.
I know, so weird to finally be talking to you guys in real life, because we've been communicating back and forth for a while.
It's been about 15 years now.
Yes.
Ireland is just so far away. These pigeons just...
It takes a long time.
It does.
So can you guys tell me a bit about yourselves? Who are you, for the listeners who don't know who you are, and what do you do?
Oh, hello everyone. We are not Elliot and not Joe, as people
He's
like to...
not Joe.
Well, yeah, I mean, for them listening, it's probably a bit weird saying him and pointing because they can't see. It's just...
Well, we have different voices.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Well, that's Joe and I'm Elliot. And we are Ghost Theory. We are two paranormal investigators on YouTube, pretty much based in the UK. And we just travel around investigating locations, trying to come up with theories for why things are
happening.
Yeah.
Why people believe in ghosts in the first place.
Yeah.
Try and find all the different answers to random things that happen in random places that people would think are ghosts. And then we try and come up with theories as to whether they are ghosts or not, and why people thought it was a ghost, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which is a very healthy way to approach paranormal investigation. But before we get into all of that, because that's going to be a whole discussion later,
Yeah.
the most important question you will ever be asked: what is your favourite horror film and why?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to answer this much better than I am, because I've only watched about 3, so...
Well, it might surprise some people, actually. I think at the top of my list, only because of like the experience of actually going out and doing it myself.
Barbie.
That's it. Perfect. Yeah. For me, it's Paranormal Activity, because I love the tension, the build-up, there's this paranormal rumble that they do in it when sort of activity is starting to build up. Now, it's really funny because we actually hear this type of rumble in real life, and we always wondered what that is, and I always compare it to Paranormal Activity. But my also second favourite, I absolutely love the Conjuring series. I also do have like a favourite story as well, but which is like the Enfield hauntings and that sort of thing. I like the real psychological and investigative style horror films, to be fair. I also love the Blair Witch Project.
You only asked what your favourite was,
Sorry,
not what your top 500 films are. I don't I don't know. Insidious was the only film that ever actually scared me. That was a baby monitor thing. And it's oh god, I saw that in the cinema and that was it. I've only ever watched about probably 10 horror films in my life, so I'm not very qualified for this question, I don't think.
Do you not like horror films, or do they scare you too much?
Boring.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Because it's always the same thing. It's like, there's. I'm not too much of a fan of anything that's fictional at all. So obviously a horror film, you know, is going to be fictional unless it's based on something that's happened, which was possibly fictional anyway. But it's like when you have like magic. If you watch like Harry Potter, that's not necessarily a horror film, but they could make up anything, couldn't they? It's like, oh no, there's this giant demon dog or something that's going to blow up the castle. Don't worry, because Captain Sausage over here has got a magical wand he found in his basement which is designed specifically for blowing up this giant demon dog. It's well, of course it is. Because it's not real, is it?
Blood pressure. I'm
not angry, it's just...
calm it down.
But with that description, have you ever considered, writing your own horror film and making it? Because, that sounds incredible.
We are.
Yeah.
Well, that was a simple answer.
Yeah.
No, I've actually always really wanted to write a book, but we always tended to do sort of short films as well, so they ended up being short films rather than books. But I think I've got this one idea if I did want to do a book, and it's based on the paranormal, but a twist on it, where it's about like a carer, because I used to be a care assistant. Obviously, I've been to loads of really creepy care homes and everything, and I came up with this idea about a person who couldn't get a job, and they end up going to this office where this advert is advertising for a stay-in carer in the countryside to look after this elderly woman. And in her past, she used to be a psychic, and then he starts to see ghosts inside the house, but they're actually conjurations from her imagination, from her psychic abilities, but with a dementia. So it's all about...
Is conjurations a word?
Well, yeah,
it is now.
Word. It's in Harry Potter. It's not that you like it. So yeah, and then that was going to be a slight horror mystery. But yeah.
But we are actually making a film.
We are, yes.
Called... What is it called?
It's called,
we changed it.
It was the secret investigator, the screaming investigator. It was the secret investigator, and now we're actually changing it to Death Note, which is our new short sort of thriller.
But it's sort of, we tried to make it horror, but it ended up just being more of like a dramatic film about a man who tries to investigate something. But it turned. Well, I don't want to give away the story because you have to watch it. Yeah. It's not even out yet, so. Yeah. But it's kind of creepy.
When it is out, will people be able to watch it on YouTube, I presume?
Yeah, we were planning for it to be out in Halloween last year, but we're more likely now going to be aiming for Halloween this year, which even that might not happen. It's when we make films, the story just keeps growing and growing, and we've actually ended up. We had a whole web series called Pendulist, and then we made a film called The Screaming Forest, and we ended up pretty much combining both films and the whole web series together as a whole new story. So it's just got bigger and bigger as time's gone on, and we just keep taking our time with it, really.
Making sure everything's perfect before we move on to the next scene, because obviously being sort of short film and sort of zero budget, we did actually fund it through our amazing sort of like community, but it's sort of a nearly zero budget short film.
It's like nearly zero budget.
Nearly zero budget.
How can that be?
It's a low budget.
That's a really good tagline.
Yeah.
Nearly zero budget.
That could mean anything.
It could mean anything. That could be £1 million.
Yeah.
Like nearly zero is really relative,
I guess. I do say some stupid things sometimes.
Most of the time,
yeah.
It's okay. We'll forgive you. I'm presuming that's part of the reason why you've got such a big following and people love to watch you guys, because you're funny and you don't take yourselves too seriously.
Well, yeah.
We kind of touched on it briefly. What is the channel all about? So there's going to be people listening to this who may not have heard of the YouTube channel. What kind of investigations do you do? Because I know you don't just do in-person investigations. I've seen that you do things where you leave cameras in haunted, I'm putting haunted in inverted commas, in haunted houses overnight And that kind of stuff is what I'm interested in, because you don't have any human intervention. So tell us a bit about ghost theory. What can people expect when they go and watch your channel?
It's been that type of video lately that's kind of blown up a little bit for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like leaving cameras in abandoned buildings was something we started doing 14 years ago or so. It was one of the first things we ever did. Yeah. And then we just sort of randomly thought of it a couple of months ago. I thought that'd be a good idea to do it again. But I mean, what is ghost theory about?
Well, what it is I don't think that we're your average style type of investigators, and I think that's kind of hopefully a selling point. I think when you go on, you don't expect just full-on activity. Don't expect things being flying around and demons and all that sort of thing, because we don't expect it all to be really, really, really serious and a bit boring, I would say. We are ourselves in it, and it's something that we started doing after a very long time of failing in our other content, because we're always trying to be something else. And we decided to just be ourselves. So we are our own people, our own personalities, and it hopefully comes across on camera. We do take the piss a little bit out of each other, and we do have sort of a weird sense of humour. So you can hopefully expect to have a little bit of a laugh. But then when things do start to happen, we take it seriously. So it's almost hopefully to expect some comedy, some tension, and it's everything we capture is hopefully, I don't know, explainable most of the time.
Yeah, we want... It's rather than... It's like some investigators may potentially, especially on YouTube, everything is a ghost. But we're not there to try and find out or try and dismiss everything as a ghost. But we're also not there to dismiss that it could be a ghost as well.
Yeah.
So we're sort of sitting somewhere in the middle. We're both very skeptical about what we find. But then there are certain occasions where we would find something that we can't find other answers for, and then we'd be like, okay, maybe that is paranormal then. And that's very, very rare. When we were thinking the other day, we do 4-ish, maybe 5 investigations a week.
Yeah.
And we film in each one of them for anywhere between 4 and 8 hours. And we've done that for about 4 years solidly, and then we've done it for 10 years on and off before that.
Yeah.
And we're still both very sceptical, to put it that way. It's never chaotic, crazy paranormal activity, but what we do find is then,
very questionable.
If we say that we think it's paranormal, it's got to be really good.
Yeah.
And that's happened this week, actually.
Yeah, and we do tend to, since having the new microphones and the new gear that we've invested in, we can capture a lot of sounds better, which is really great. It makes good content, but hopefully we can explain it, but there's that little bit like, is it? We don't know. I do like what you said, is we do sit in the middle. We don't ever dismiss people's beliefs, and we will never sort of say, yeah, you are right, it is paranormal, or it's not. We are very much there to hopefully
It's kind of hard, because you want to be able to say for definite either way, but then that's the problem with paranormal investigation, isn't it? Because none of the tools ever progress with it. It's like just using a K2 or REM pod or something doesn't really give you answers, doesn't prove anything other than that there is something setting it off.
Yeah.
So it's sort of what I would love to do is trying to investigate more in finding new tools to find answers, rather than just keep asking the same questions in different places and getting the same general answers. But yeah, our name basically, I would say, tries to sort of sum up who we are, is that we're trying to find theories of ghosts, or what causes ghosts to be believed in.
But ultimately have fun along the way.
And I think a lot of listeners will probably resonate with that, because I find it really frustrating watching, paranormal investigation shows. Everything nowadays is demons. Everything is demons. They go into a house, something happens, it's demons. And they sort of parrot off all of this pseudo-demonology. And that's not what demonology is, and B, you are not a demonologist because you wear black sunglasses indoors. That doesn't that's not cool. And actually, I think it's quite dangerous, because it scares people. Because if people hear a sound or whatever, then their mind automatically jumps to, is it possible that I have a demon in my house because I saw this in that episode of whatever? So it's nice to see paranormal investigators that are like, we are skeptical, and we are going to try and figure out what this is before we dance up and down and say this is definitely a ghost or something else. Did you guys have a ghost story, real or fictional, that terrified you as a child?
I never actually, even though I was sort of brought up on watching ghost shows and everything, and I always sort of believed in the paranormal. I never had a paranormal experience. But Joe, you've had some insane ones, haven't you?
If you want to call them paranormal, yeah. But I mean, in terms of just stories as a child, I had an imaginary friend, which now freaks me out.
Oh, you're one of those creepy kids.
Yeah, I was
You're
a
one of
proper
those.
creep.
Yeah.
I was like one of the freakiest of freaky kids, which makes it more strange the fact that I'm sort of the lesser believer in all this stuff, considering I'm the ones probably had more experiences in it. Yeah, I had an imaginary friend called Peggy. She had geese and wore like a straw hat and dungarees. She stood on top of my wardrobe. I'd say goodnight to her every night. It freaked the hell out of my mum. But the weird thing is...
why was she sitting on top of your wardrobe? That is awful. There's definitely a scene of that in the first Conjuring film.
Oh, yeah.
Where she's on top of the wardrobe.
The two... Well, not that that's not weird, but the two other weird things about it is I still know exactly what she looks like. And two, there was someone in our family called Peggy who used to keep geese, which is the same as my imaginary friend did, who died before I was born. And it's just, that's always freaked me out. I also predicted, well, I don't particularly predict, but I knew someone had died in a car crash. There was someone, I was in a house that was very similar to, like obviously you have a row of houses, they're all the same houses. And someone lived in one of those houses that I was in. And I can't remember the exact story. My mum knows the story so perfectly. She's told me 100 times. We've even put it on her own podcast, and I can't remember exactly what happened. But I just looked up and said, I've been here before I died in a car crash. And then about 2 weeks later, someone who lived in one of those houses died in a car crash just up the road, went through the windscreen. It's something very, very similar story to that. And I've always had strange stuff like that. When I was in London with my mum and my dad, when I was about 6 maybe, I'd never been there before in my life. My mum and dad were both lost trying to get back to the train station. And I just grabbed hold of their hands and just walked 2 miles to the train station as if I knew exactly where I was, as if I'd been there before. I've always been a bit of a weirdo, to be honest.
To be honest, I would have put you up for adoption. I would have been like, that's it. You're not hanging around here. I also love the way you preface that by saying, well, if you could call them paranormal. Yeah, I think you could, actually.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Maybe that's why things happen a lot with us. Weird things happen to us in our lives. But I mean, it's very, very strange. It's like a fate thing. Now, I mean, for instance, we're going for a walk in the church. We're at the lowest point of our lives, and I think this is where it started to get strange. We were called Odd Fox Films at the time. We were sort of two filmmakers thinking, what are we doing with our lives? We really want to, be successful in what we do. And we went into this graveyard, a random church, just that we love architecture and churches and things, go for long walks. We entered this random church, so that looks nice, and went for a walk, and we're just talking about our lives. How are we going to become what we want to be in our lives? How are we going to be successful? And on the floor, just randomly, is a teddy fox. And I know it sounds like, okay, it's quite coincidence, but in the graveyard that we went in, and that was the logo of our filmmaking at the time. And I was like, that's quite weird, okay. And then I think it was that when we walked back towards the church...
But we looked up and on the door it said, don't give up. There's nothing else on the door but just don't give up.
Yeah.
That was the bit that freaked me out more than anything, with an odd fox. And we were called Odd Fox. And it was on the gate, wasn't it? Right up at the back at the top. We'd started a small business called Smile Media, and we were going to make videos for people. And almost exact same... Well, we used Smile, you're on camera.
Yeah.
And we went up to the thing, and it had this almost exact same logo that we had just made, was Smile, you're on camera underneath it. And we were like, okie dokie.
But it's really hard, because we explain this a lot to some of our fans. Like, weird things just happen to us almost exactly at the same time, in our lives. And... it's just very weird. Just something will go wrong, say, with Joe's car.
Yeah, like literally this week,
Joe had like this engine light come on his car. And also there was a bit where you parked up and you had like all 11111.1 on the dashboard and
the
stuff.
angel number thing's been weird.
And then at the same day, the evening, I went to check on my motorbike, and I had the same thing happen on my bike. I've got an engine light come on my bike. But those things just happen constantly to us both, and it's almost...
It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah,
out loud.
it's just it's
It
something
doesn't
like
sound ridiculous.
It feels like something is following us, but it's not evil, and we don't know how much we believe in it. It's just
the only way I've ever managed to describe this. You know, Jonathan Davis and Korn, and they made the album
Love of My Life. But yeah,
well, yeah. But the nothing is what he calls this thing that essentially trying to control his life, but he doesn't know what it is, where it is, or anything. He calls it the nothing. As soon as he came out with that, it was like, that's how I can describe it. And when I was in a crap point in my life, I went to a random graveyard, and the name on the grave was Jonathan Davis, and his death date was the same day that I was born. I was just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
There's so many coincidences and loops of cycles of strange things.
Yeah.
that is wild. I know people are going to love this. That is wild.
It's just this thing that seems to follow us both, and then things happen in these houses with us. And just, I mean, a little bit of a spoiler, right? But the episode that's coming out this weekend for us is probably one of the most insane things that I feel happened, and I'm convinced it was paranormal, because we're like we hear this knock at this door of this old crypt, and we're thinking, okay, weird, and we look at this door, and then this latch, it just drops, and the door opens, but we had this feeling that someone was stood outside the door before it, so we called out, so is somebody, out there, do you want to come in? And then that door opens. It's very, very weird.
It's weird because in terms of things that's happened, it's not the most incredible thing that's ever happened, but it's one of those that it was so perfectly on command paired with the other things that happened that night, which is, just come on. Like, at this point, we can't keep telling people that it might not be paranormal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
God, we can talk.
I don't know how you guys do it, because I would have been gone, running the other direction. See you later. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Have you guys got a favourite legend or ghost story about your local area? Which is my way of asking, where are you from?
So, local.
Oh man, I don't know if there are many. Most people here are 900 years old.
Which is pretty paranormal in itself.
Yeah. I suppose that is a bit weird, but they're all vampires.
I suppose the closest one would be the forest one, so there's this forest in the south of the UK, and we've been going there for absolute years. I used to live in the village that's pretty much attached to it, and we started walking these old World War II roads. So this forest was full, sort of most active during D-Day, but it goes back to what is it like? There was the old hunting ground for some a king or something.
Is it Ethel? No, it's supposed to be a King Arthur thing, isn't it? Which makes it,
But it's all sort of supposedly quite active soldiers and that sort of thing. But the one thing that we've come across a lot of the time is that when we're walking on these public footpaths, the people there who are local to the forest are very weird with anybody going there. And a lot of the time we're walking it, and they keep telling us not to go in the forest, and we think, okay, it's a private forest with public footpaths. Okay, well, we don't. But then they just keep stopping in their like Kubotas and everything, and they get really angry with us. And because a lot of the people now see us there often, they always wonder why we're always there, and they always just get more and more angry and agitated with us. So we started kind of looking into it a bit, and we found this guy. He looked like sort of a gamekeeper guy. He had his dogs outside, and we said we're into all the history of the war, because we went looking around this forest for years for like all the old bunkers and that sort of thing, which we found most of it now. We asked him about if there's anything that he thinks we should see, if have we missed anything, because we gave him the list of things that we'd found. And he says, there's a few things in this forest we hope you never find. And we said, well, it's very, very weird you say that, because we were heading out on the edge of the forest, like a field footpath on the edge of a forest, and we come across this white stag. I think, was it stag or just a deer? It was
a chicken.
Oh, right, that's it, a chicken. So this really scary, horrifying chicken.
Big fangs.
I would like to add that Joe just said that with a completely straight face, completely deadpan. There was no hint of a smile.
No. So this chicken, this deer was, you took a picture of it, and it looked like it had a real mangled face, like blood in its ears and its mouth and everything. And so we asked him about it. So we got a picture of this white deer, and his face just completely dropped. And he called his dogs to get in the car, and then he just drove off. And he was like, "I'm not entertaining this." It was just really bizarre. So things started getting a little bit weirder, and we started going a little bit off the path and into the forest and stuff. And this next piece of footage was filmed on our phone of a shotgun sort of nearby in the forest, shotgun going off, and this scream, and it kind of sounded like an animal dying, like a deer, but it was a bit more, I don't know, weirder, more
it's
horrifying.
It's hard to explain it. Yeah, it's like a monster, really.
Yeah. So we started to do paranormal investigations, and over like a few years, we came to this farm, which we heard there was a murder, which we've since actually found out was a fiction or a local. It's just a local story of this girl that died at this farm. But we had this K2 meter in it, and it kept going off on command. And we said, "Is this a monster here? And is this a skinwalker?"
Well, it was on the wall inside the farm, and we asked it to be thrown off twice, and it did get thrown off twice.
On a live stream, I would say. Yeah,
we were live at the time.
Yeah. And so we thought, okay, what the hell is a skinwalker? We just found out about
the skinwalker thing happened when we were inside the forest.
Right. Yeah.
The REM pod, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was right at the end of the episode, because we made a whole episode about this whole story that occurred over years, and I just randomly said, "Is that a skinwalker?" Because we kept hearing noises and so on in the forest. And then the REM pod goes off as if to answer, yes, it is. Then we keep getting these answers say, yes, it's a skinwalker. We don't necessarily... Well, I don't know if we believe in skinwalkers, but not necessarily in the UK.
Yeah.
And then it just sparked this whole story of like this monster that lives in the forest about 10 minutes from where we live.
Yeah.
But that's a local story, I guess, that we made up, so... Well, not made up. Hang on, let's clarify that.
Like, why was that gamekeeper in an episode of Scooby-Doo? Like... Don't be saying there's things in there we hope you never find and then not elaborating.
That's what really sparked it for us, because it was as soon as we mentioned the deer, and we just came across some really weird people in that forest during some investigations as well. We were really angry and just like, get out of here, get off my land and stuff. I understand, I mean, it all could be explained by people just don't want others there, but it is a public forest. Most of it, anyway. But it was just this whole... Every time we tried to talk about the white deer, I mean, this woman with dogs, we were talking to some just dog walkers there, and this woman with other dogs came up and just got really angry with us, even though we have a nice, pleasant conversation with some dog walkers. It's going, just do not go in the woods, do not film it there and everything. And it's just, what are you hiding?
And we'd heard that scream thing beforehand at the plaque.
Yeah.
There's a big cross in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
And we were doing an investigation there, and we didn't hear it at the time, but you can hear it on the footage of this weird, like, reverse scream coming from the forest.
Yeah.
There's just been so many... Yeah, it's occurred over years, isn't it?
Yeah, so I guess that's the nearest thing we come to a local story, which is still... Like, we're kind of working out still.
Our story.
Yeah.
It's your story. I love that. Yeah. That it's your story and you're investigating it in the long term. That's amazing.
We've got 2 episodes on it now, actually, haven't we?
Yeah.
So what is the best thing about doing something as unique as paranormal investigation for a living? And obviously, the worst thing. I need to know both. I want the gossip, I want the tea.
The best thing's got to be the adventure.
Oh, I was going to say that. Yeah.
It's the amount of incredible places we get to go to is there's no other job like it, I don't think. It's you sort of like dream of being an adventurer, sort of dream of being Bear Grylls or something, don't you? Oh wow, it looks amazing to be that on TV. We're like the paranormal Bear Grylls.
Yeah.
We're going off into like weird, creepy places where we don't drink our own piss or anything, but
yes. We drink each other's.
I wondered what that was.
It's not that we haven't got water, we just love the taste of it.
It's a choice.
Well, that's definitely not the best part of doing what we do. But yeah, it's seeing the amazing things of just going to abandoned buildings, I guess, and even when it's not abandoned, like we did the Wookiee Hole episode, just getting the access to these locations to yourself that people obviously pay to go to every day, and you're there just on your own. You've got the, do you know what I mean? It's the history,
and it's the mystery of it as well.
Yeah,
it's just the mystery of actually something happening and the sounds, and then figuring out and investigating. You feel like you're in your own bubble. It's almost like making a film. You're just this different.
I'm not allowed to say that though.
Oh yeah,
which comes on to the reason we don't like what we do.
Yeah,
it's the hardest part about what we do is trying to, or having to prove you're legitimate every single step of the way. It's so frustrating sometimes, but as like we said before, if we captured a full apparition, if a ghost literally walked at us and shook a hand, everyone would go, I don't believe you anymore.
Yeah.
It just, there's actually been things we've captured that we haven't put in our episodes because they've been so ridiculous that you just know people are going to say you're full of crap then. And we mentioned this, I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago in one of the interviews that we do for our videos. And people know you've got to show everything, So then a couple of episodes later we showed something and it ended up on about 12 different debunking channels calling us fake, and we lost so much from it. So well, what's the point then? It's just, it completely, you can't show everything because people won't believe everything.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. You know, it's hard to believe that inflation is still a thing, but boy, it sure is. And that's exactly why Mint Mobile still gives you premium wireless for just $15 a month. Well, it's also because we have that offer printed on, like, 1 million T-shirts, but it's mostly the inflation thing. So give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months required. New subscribers only. Renew for 12 months to lock in savings. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com.
Yeah, and you always see it, like, you know, we had a conversation kind of off mic about this. Like, people will literally bend over backwards to prove that what you're doing is fake. And sometimes I think it's warranted, but sometimes I think the lengths that people will go to prove that something is fake, you know, the explanations they come up with are far more ridiculous than the actual content itself, and it must be really frustrating.
Unfortunately, we had an incident with a debunker not long ago where we had to do a response video because what they were claiming actually happened was they thought that they saw this hand. Somebody was dressed up in some cloak throwing something around a corner. And it's like, but when you zoom, you know,
we completely debunked the debunk, and now we're actually friends with that debunker.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
It was a good outcome, yeah. And it sort of changed the way that it was viewed, I guess. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but from what they said to us, it was like, I'm now no longer just going to outright say things are fake because I think so. I will make sure there's more of a conversation and debate about it beforehand, and then come to a middle ground. Even if I still think it's fake, I'm not just going to tell people it is. I'm just going to say this is my opinion and how it could be done. And that changed quite a lot of things, and it changed our relationship with debunkers overall, I think, to be honest. Yeah,
because, you know, some of them, the thing that frustrates me personally is the whole coming up with things but missing out important information from your own video. So they take your video, but they'll play one part of your video and then talk about it but not show your thoughts on that. We always try and debunk ourselves anyway. And also it was a part of our show was going to be us looking back and trying to come up with explanations, almost like a personal debunk, which was getting impossible because these other people were already doing it against us, though. Right, but that's a part of our show. You're basically taking our content and then when they get a bit personal rather than constructive, and that you know, it can be a big drain on your mental health.
It turns out the worst part of ghost hunting is a lot more worse than the good part of ghost hunting is good.
Yeah.
Yes, the good part about, we go out to places. The worst part, however, I can do a 3-hour podcast about.
But I guess
that's always the way, though, isn't it? You guys are super successful. Your channel is really successful, but you're also human, and I feel the same way. You know, you might get 100 good reviews and 1 bad one, and you can only focus on the bad because you're like, but that's not me, and that's not true, and that's not why I do this, and I'm not faking, and that's what makes it frustrating, I think.
You feel like you have to prove yourself, don't you? You have to try and explain to every single person why, not necessarily why they're wrong, but when someone says something is wrong, you feel like you have to convince them otherwise.
Especially when most of the time we know the answer and all they have to do is talk to us about it, and it's simple. I think the reason, we are trying to be better people, more professional in ourselves anyway when it comes to criticism or people just being dickheads. But the worst part, I guess, is that when you spend 15 years trying to be somewhere and you've finally done it, and then these people look like they're trying to destroy all that work, that's where it gets, hard, I suppose.
Yeah, and that is tricky. And on that note, like your channel, like what I was saying, your channel is super successful. So what made you start Ghost Theory specifically? And did you think it was going to be as successful as it is now? Because it's your living, it's your job now, which is amazing.
It was the final chance, really, for us, wasn't it? We originally called the Editor's Channel, and we were doing some paranormal things, and we're doing films. Then we were called Blacked Out Films. Then we've been Division Pictures, Elliot and Joe, Explore Vlogs, Explore Productions, Film Club, Two Guys Films, you name it. We've had so many different channels and ideas over the years of different ways to somehow make a living off of making YouTube videos. Yeah. And we had the channel before this, but it is the same channel, went from Explore Vlogs, Explore Productions to Elliot and Joe. And Elliot and Joe, we just called ourselves Adventure Filmmakers. And it was literally just us. We'd do anything we could, but try and make it into like a cinematic vlog, I suppose. And it sort of worked. And I think we got to 6,000 subscribers on that. And then we were just like, but we're not doing it. Like, we're still working full-time jobs in other places. Even if we'd get 20,000 views on something, it wouldn't pay anything because all the viewers were Indian, which obviously isn't a problem in itself, but the money you get from Indian viewers isn't anywhere close to what you'd get from America or the US, Canada, and so on. So, like, we have to just change everything entirely. I just remember there's one night where, like, Ghost Theory had already existed, bear in mind, but it was more of a thought, and we sort of attempted it as a series on that channel. And we were just going for walks, and it's like our therapies. We go for walks and talk about things. And it was just one night where I was just sat there staring at the channel, and because we had it in our minds that we were going to create a whole new channel again called Ghost Theory. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep from 4 up until Elliot woke up at about 3 in the afternoon. And the main idea, I was just like, but we already have a channel with 6,000 subscribers. Like, it looks good. Like, obviously, 6,000 is not a big number on YouTube, but it looks so much better than starting from 0, and we're already monetized. Yeah. So I was like, let's just make Ghost Theory this channel and just say, let's put everything into it. This is our last chance to ever try and make a thing of this before we just have to go and actually get a real job.
Actually start and focus on career. I remember saying to Joe, by the time I'm 30, I have to be making some money. Even if it's not like making full time, we have to be making some money and doing something that works and we enjoy. Because otherwise I just have to focus on what I'm going to do with my life and my career, have a wife and everything. We've got to...
I don't know whether that sounds so weird. Yeah. I'm going to get myself a wife.
Yeah. It's either YouTube or a wife. Those are the options.
Yeah. And I remember the way that Ghost Theory started to work was when, because when people say, how did you get successful? We go, fail for 15 years before you start. That's kind of our answer. Because what it taught us throughout this 15 years, it was, okay, we've got to be ourselves. So now we are ourselves with Ghost Theory. Film Club was basically comedy, a comedy channel, but it didn't work on its own. So we ended up putting comedy into Ghost Theory as well. And then the films were the serious part of it and the production. So we started putting the production and the serious part in it. So everything we had learned for each failure of each channel has been put in to Ghost Theory, and it worked. And I think that's...
It's kind of funny because we had always just been a small percentage of ourselves. We had always just done... We'd pick that bit to make a channel out of, and then we'd pick this bit. Then we'd do exploring, then this bit, and then we thought... Well, we didn't even think about it, actually. We just did it. Ghost Theory ended up being a combination of every single channel we had ever created. Yeah. And then it just worked.
I think it's interesting because you guys said that you weren't really being fully yourselves with your other stuff. And then when you started being fully yourselves on YouTube, then things started working. And I think a lot of people fall into that trap. I mean, I've done it where you sort of present a version of yourself that isn't necessarily the real version of yourself, and people love to see genuine people online, people that they can go, oh, I know that those are your real thoughts, and I know this isn't a big act. I know that when the camera goes off, you're not like, God, yeah, well, whatever, shall we just fuck off now and not care about this anymore, do you know? And I think it makes such a difference that you guys are genuine and yourselves, and it probably is why you're so successful with it.
It's being relatable, I guess, isn't it? It's,
yes.
People want to feel... Because the thing is, like, we've got an amazing community. In fact, a lot of people praise our community for being such a good bunch of people, which is kind of a crazy thing to me, actually.
Yeah.
But it's because we're actually, like, truly connected with them. Like, it's not an act we're putting on. Like, they are our friends.
Yeah.
Like, they are there for us, and we are there for them too. We have people private message us, and we talk to them about their life struggles, and we do with, vice versa. And I think that's one of the huge things that got us to where we are, is just we're friends of the people in this subject rather than just being like these showmen, which many other people
we're the same
been.
off camera as we are on camera, which hopefully other teams we've worked with can sort of...
But then, like, even saying, like, we started all this just to be YouTubers isn't necessarily the case, because we've always done paranormal.
Yeah.
It's like, because it kind of sounds like we just wanted to find a subject to be successful in, which is true. We always wanted to make a living out of making videos, because that's our passion below everything. Paranormal ended up being the subject that worked for us, but it was always part of us.
Yeah.
We had always done it. There's videos that we did 14 years ago as paranormal investigations, but that mainly comes from you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, all the films that we did, all our short films were paranormal related, and something clicked. It was like, well, we're into the paranormal, actually.
Because we just go and do paranormal investigations, but without recording them.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, why didn't we actually be putting these on the internet with everything that we've learned? But yeah, I mean, I didn't really have anything to do with paranormal as such before I met you. You're the reason we did it at all, really.
Yeah.
So what is, in your opinion, the best piece of evidence that you have captured on your channel?
I think it's got...
I feel like I was going to be completely different things. So I got something in my mind that...
It's got to be the thermostat, surely.
No, because I don't know what that is. I can't explain. It's the actual conversations we've had in Jerry's house and the Polaroid place.
Yeah.
Two completely unique locations a year apart. Yeah. Asking the same questions, getting the same answers through different ways of communicating is just absolutely baffling to me. Because it was like we had Jerry's house, which I don't even know if his name was actually Jerry, it's just what people call it. And we were getting some answers through the K2 saying that he couldn't speak to us because there was this higher power that wouldn't allow him to speak and so on. Yeah. And then we asked the same questions in a place that we called the Polaroid house, because we did a Polaroid experiment. Yeah. And it was like these taps on the walls and on the floor, on the ceiling, just everywhere, every single time, to the same answers to the same questions we were answering, about that they couldn't speak to us because there was someone there controlling them, that they could travel through anywhere they wanted, and they were waiting for loved ones to die so they could move on away from Earth. And it was just you just sit there and you just, do I believe it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Are we just listening to a tree knock on the window outside in the wind that coincidentally it times in with what we're asking? We don't know. But if you start to believe it, you think, wow, that's just incredible to me.
So I think the answers that we have got so far are that they can't, they can't see us, but they can hear us. They're not allowed to talk about what happens after because there's a higher power.
But it's not God.
But not necessarily God. And they're waiting for their loved ones to go with them. They're like the three answers that we've got that are like...
I remember with that episode, like the Polaroid one, we had to put a disclaimer in the beginning because we were like, this is actually quite emotional. Yeah. And you don't want someone... This is a really, really heavy subject. But, imagine someone's just lost someone and they're not in a good state of mind, and then you then tell them that your family's on the other side waiting for you. That's not a good thing. It's not a healthy thing to tell someone. So that's why we always have to say, just don't believe it. Take it with a pinch of salt. It could be anything. Yeah. It could be a rat. It could be random knocks on the window. It's only happened once with taps. Do you know what I mean? Like, if that was actual reality and that's why don't we get it everywhere? Why has no one else got that every time they've gone to a place like 30 East Drive? Do you know what I mean? Like it's such a heavy subject that you almost feel bad sometimes putting that evidence out there and even saying it's evidence.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Sorry, that's after giving me the heebie-jeebies. My mind is blown. And that was, so that was a year apart in in around a year apart, 2 different locations, and you're asking...
And yeah, it was also, when you go back to your conversation about, people seeing as demons and stuff, well, like we've done Ouija boards and everything, and nothing evil has really, maybe once or twice something says it's evil or whatever, nothing happens. But when we were getting these knocks and these taps from Jerry's house and the Polaroid house, it felt very heartwarming, very friendly, but very sad at the same time.
Because we've had the same knocks before, though, but in Robertson's, in a children's hospital.
Yes, yeah.
And that was like the start for me of thinking, my God, this whole paranormal thing is ridiculous. Like when you just sort of do investigations in your house or in a forest, in a graveyard, like when you're younger and you don't really know you can go into abandoned buildings, you're not really taking it serious. And then when we were doing investigations, every single day, because we were filming, I think 8 months before we started to release videos. So we were like way ahead of ourselves. We're like just going at it really hard to make sure we could just release twice a week, I think, at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we were going really mad at it. Probably did more investigations in that 8 months than we did in the 10, 15, whatever the hell years we did before that. And we were it's a children's hospital, and we'd been there 2 or 3 times before and had these same taps with different people.
Yeah, and two teams with us because it was that impressive to us.
Yeah, but like these taps happened when we were just an exploring channel, had nothing to do with paranormal. And you could ask questions and it'd be like doof, doof, little knocks and taps all over the building from different rooms. Like it's not even near us. And we actually ended up playing hide and seek with a child.
Yeah.
And then we said, is there someone here, like, again, a higher power type thing that is scary that you can't talk with? And they just disappeared. And we're like, they're here, aren't they? Yeah. And it went silent. And then we told this, like, evil-y thing, whatever it was, to go away and let the child come back. And then you hear this, like, running up the corridor. And we were hiding inside, we were literally playing hide and seek in one of the cupboards. And you can hear running up the corridor and then come right up to us, like almost jumping up and down the ground. Yeah. Like bang, 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 bang. Just like they're really excited that we were there. Just full, it was on a live stream.
Yeah, we did 2 live streams there. And also one of them was like after hours, just really loud knocks, literally just like 4 knocks from the attic. And
sorry, a fish just fell on the floor.
And it was just, how the hell did that just happen? And you know what? We were so used to the knocks, and this is how weird it gets. You get so used to these sort of knocks and this activity that we just looked at each other like, okay, but some of the loudest knocks that we'd ever heard on command, it was like somebody was just there in front of us.
It was 3 weeks after that happened, we thought, do you remember those knocks we heard in Robertson's? We're like, why the hell didn't we pay any attention to that?
Yeah.
Because I think what we had thought when we were there, because there's a part of the building, it's really hard to explain the building, but the upstairs is in the roof, but it's big. And you can go around the sort of the outside of the walls and then climb up into the roof. And part of that kind of tunnel section had been taken out, and we were thinking maybe there was just someone living in there. And maybe that was causing all of it entirely, even though we'd never seen anyone there. But I think maybe that's what's going through my head, is those massive bangs with just someone in the loft. But it's weird how your brain goes. You think, oh yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You're just in this like 200-year-old children's hospital completely decaying, and you've got massive bangs coming. You just, yeah, don't worry about that. That's nothing. And then 2 weeks later you think, oh
that's weird.
That was strange.
We should have captured that more. yeah.
But people say that, don't they? Like when you actually come across paranormal activity, you're not fazed by it.
It's like fight or flight, isn't it?
Yeah, but like people will walk up, like a ghost walk up to them, and then they're just like, a week later, think, shit, that was weird. Yeah. That guy didn't actually exist. But when it's actually a person, it makes you feel scared, because it's like they're actually there. If you see something, when it's a ghost, people don't take it in. I don't know why.
Yeah. I think it's just that. I think you don't fully take it in. You just sort of accept it in the moment, and then afterwards you're like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
What
really
happened
bizarre.
there? That was strange.
Makes it quite annoying we do in paranormal investigation, because it's like a week later we think, crap.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
What was the location that scared you guys the most?
Was that Hell's Hospital? Because that was pretty scary. But we were new to ghost hunting at that time.
Well, new to in
in
abandoned
the
buildings.
Yeah. I think one of the ones was Hell's Hospital. We went to this abandoned hospital sort of in London, and we called it Hell's Hospital because it did. The decay on it just looked like absolute hell. We were investigating, and there was these old like blood bags that were opened up and put across the wall and everything. We don't know if it was real blood or anything. We didn't touch them. It could have just been someone messing around there. But they'd written really weird stuff in the blood across the walls. And I remember in one of the...
They wrote, "I'm bleeding" on the wall.
No shit.
And when we went to part of the corridor, we pointed the camera down this corridor. We're going, okay, where should we go? Where you're having a look. And this corridor really did freak us out from the beginning. When you imagine old crutches and these old hospital beds in against the walls in the corridor, the wallpaper's peeling and it's all grey, stereotypical sort of film look. And this door just came off the hinges and it smashed on the floor. And we were so terrified at that point. But because it was such a small window, really hard to get in and out of, we kind of didn't know where to go. We were like all over the place. And then we thought, okay, well, it could be coincidence, but this door falling down. We did brave it and we went to it. We put this K2 meter down on the door and asked questions, and every time in response it would light up on the door that had just fallen over, and that was very, very creepy.
That was a place that was kind of like, it's scary in what happened, but whether it's paranormal, we don't know. The one place that I'm thinking of that scared the hell out of me as I just scrolled past it, I was looking at my phone, trying to see what ones, was that the mannequin house.
Oh,
we ended up doing. It's the first time. Oh, they've all got great names, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've all. It's this weird. I don't even know how you describe it. The best way we basically said it looks like Jeffrey Dahmer's house. I don't know if it does really, but it might as well have been. And there's like these mannequin heads with goggles and everything all over them. They're really creepy. And it's in the middle of absolute nowhere, but it's got all these big workshops and everything. And it's the only time where we've ever filmed something and posted it. Just uncut. It was just from start to finish, consistent things happening that are really creepy. And it was the sound of someone constantly running around us. And they'd run off into a different building and then like into the caravan, but we never found anyone. And we called that terrifying raw and uncut or something. And that went quite mad because that was, I suppose, not many people post unedited.
Yeah, it
but
was.
That for me is probably the creepiest place we've ever been.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a dream paranormal investigation location anywhere in the world?
We are really want to do castles. I don't think there's an actual location itself, but the type of location is that we really want to go up to doing these massive castles and that sort of thing.
Tesco car parks up there on my top list of
supposedly really haunted, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's where the meal deals are.
Yeah.
God, I don't know. All of them.
Yeah.
The thing is, for me personally, I'm not too much into the famous locations. I don't really know any of the stories. I've never even seen The Conjuring, believe it or not.
You are missing out.
Well, I know because I haven't seen it. But it's for me, because I'm so addicted to abandoned buildings, that you see different people go to these places, different abandoned buildings, and they're the places that I crave. Not even because anyone's ever said they're haunted, but just because they look incredible. They're like museums from 1940 or something. That's what gets me, not necessarily somewhere someone's decided that they're going to charge £3 million a second for you to go into their building and they're pretending it's haunted and nothing happens. That's always really bothered me.
That's really frustrating because obviously, they look incredible. And we love the ease of having the sort of the permission to go in and you can set up more equipment and have more battery power and everything. But it is the cost of it. Some of them are charging us like £2,000 an hour. And, how can we make any money off that?
I think that's something that people kind of don't realise when you go to, places to film or do like paranormal investigations in these famous places. They are outrageously expensive a lot of the time because people have gone, oh, I can make money from this. So, I mean, fair play to them if they want to make money. I totally understand that. But I've had people as well quote me in the thousands to go and, film for a night or spend the night. And I'm like, oh, no thanks.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't get how they can charge that much for nothing as well.
Yeah.
It's just like, you can come and stand in my house for a bit in the dark and talk to yourself for a bit. Yeah. And I can charge you $4,000 for that. Cheers.
Which is upsetting because they're fantastic locations, and I would love to, if I became a millionaire, I would, pay to do them and do episodes and stuff. But well,
I just think keep your bloody Ponzi house because it's like, look at the building we went to not so long ago, Rofant House, and it's the most incredible mansion, completely abandoned. And it's got pictures in there of was it Henry VIII and whoever, like original paintings of them. But we didn't pay anything to go and see them. And he stood in this great hall, and he just, I did that for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's so much more impressive than, you go to, say, the Ancient Ram and so on. Yeah, they are good places, and we like the owners and so on. We get on with them, but they are just mini museums of random crap they've collected from a charity shop somewhere. But it is, that's just the face of it, and it's a tourist thing. It's for people to go there because it's creepy and haunted and so on. It's not, in my opinion, for people who want to... But if those places could give definitive answers of paranormal, they would have done it years ago. So you're kind of better off looking somewhere else, is the way I see it, than keep paying these same people the same amount of money to do the same thing over and over again.
I still would like to.
I'm very miserable.
To wrap up, why should people come and watch and subscribe to your channel?
They shouldn't. It's the worst YouTube channel in existence.
I would say they should come and watch it because I'm going to go on a paranormal investigation with you guys, right? And it's going to be comedy gold. Because you know what? I am not good when I'm stressed or nervous. I'm a talker, and I will sing, and I will make inappropriate jokes. And it is,
we may have to reconsider this whole investigation idea. You're just singing in the corner. Just shut up!
We're just hiding there and go, we're getting some weird singing in this chapel or something.
There's a strange Irish woman in the corner just singing. What do you do?
And you're like, no, it's not a ghost. It's just, honestly, she just does that.
Just a fruitcake, don't worry. We're not very good at selling ourselves. I don't know, if you just want to see two idiots go into abandoned buildings and talk to the walls for a bit, hoping that we may capture some paranormal activity and then come up with the reasons why it wasn't, then that's for you, I suppose. That should be our new description.
Yeah,
it should. It's good. I like it.
I would say maybe come and subscribe because we want 100,000 subscribers.
I understand, yeah.
And also that.
Yeah, but also because I guess we've been doing it a long time, as in the production, so we hope that the production's pretty good. We don't just stand around doing nothing all the time anyway.
Well, that's not what ends up in the video anyway.
Yeah, hopefully it's interesting to watch, even if we don't capture anything. I suppose it's entertaining, but also...
But that's the one thing with our channel, though. We will keep going all week until we do capture something interesting enough to make an episode.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that sets us apart from other people. We won't just post everything we get, and we also won't make it up to make sure we've got something.
Yeah.
So there's that, I suppose. And also I'm in it, so...
Yeah.
Why else?
Listen, what more could you want?
If you're attracted to bald people, then...
I'm not actually bald. I shave this off for fashion.
Yeah, that's true.
And you should start.
It's a bold choice. I like it.
Thank you. It's very good. He needs to start because it's bald up to about the back, sort of middle-ish. The front three hairs just cover the massive mole he's got on his head.
This is just a wig.
Do you actually have a mole on your head?
I don't know.
Or is it just your head?
Brilliant.
I love the way nobody can see us.
No, I know.
They're going to be listening. They're going to be like, I don't know what they're going to be picturing right now, but I imagine it would be hilarious, whatever they're picturing right now.
It will get people to subscribe and say, "Oh, I've got to see what they look like now."
Yeah, I've got to see what these guys look like.
Imagine Harry Potter and Voldemort if they never got famous.
I was saying with Joe, imagine Voldemort and an egg, but
Yeah, eating an egg.
Yeah.
What does that
So,
look like? Oh, big scary Voldemort sucking on egg. Sucking on egg. Good. Anyway, let's go.
Where can people find you?
On where are we?
Literally, or like...
Okay, not literally, like not stroking, come into your garden and watch you sleep, that kind of thing. Are
Right,
you on
good.
social media,
Wasn't
on
worried.
YouTube? What do people search?
It'll be www.youtube.
Oh, God. What decade are you from? Who the hell puts in www. anything?
Look,
Go on YouTube and put in ghost theory.
yeah, all right.
That's
well,
it. Like...
yeah.
Cry http:// www.youtube.com/ghost theory.
Yeah, that's it. That's what. Yeah.
What's your Instagram handle?
www. I don't actually know.
Yeah. What is
That's
it?
also ghost theory.
Ghost theory, I think. Yeah.
Can I just say, so many people, when I talk to them like this on podcast episodes, they come on and they rattle it off. They're like, we're on Instagram at Ghost Theory, we're on YouTube at Ghost Theory. You guys are like, I don't know.
It's been 15 years
there.
of changing everything. We can't remember.
Elliot and Joe Theory Film Club
WW.
Scripted Cheese or something, I don't know. That's what a film used to be called, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Scripted Cheese.
The screaming investigator.
I don't even know what's happening anymore.
No, I feel like I'm living in a fever dream right now.
Just wait until the investigation.
I'm frightened. I'm scared already.
It sounds silly. It's ghost theory, but like it's ghost theory.
Not as in just ghost theory.
it is.
It's ghost theory.
Yeah,
as in you have to have the it's ghost theory on
It is,
not
it's-
just is ghost theory.
Yeah.
No, is.
Well, you can search ghost theory or find it either way. You
probably-
don't have to
Yeah,
make it awkward
it'll
for
come
yourself.
up either way.
Yeah. ITS ghost theory.
So, well, just go on YouTube anyway. It's better.
I will obviously, I don't know why we've just had this conversation, because obviously I'm going to leave the links to everything in the description of this episode. And so I don't know why we've just
Taking
did
a
this
piss
whole
out
bit.
of us now.
But as for all that,
I embarrassed myself for nothing then.
Joe, Elliot, it's been a pleasure. You're a dream. Thank you so much for joining me.
thank you for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much for having us. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey y'all, I'm Taryn Finley, host of a new podcast from HuffPost called I Know That's Right. Each week, I'll be taking you on a ride where mainstream media and the depths of internet culture collide. Joined by a rotating cast of friends and guests, we'll be breaking down the weekly what's what and who's who of pop culture. You need a show that separates the mess from the stuff that makes you say, I know that's right? Don't worry, girl, I got you. Check out I Know That's Right, wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.